All right. June 2nd, 2026. London Open Silver Bullet. Here we go. Here we go. MNQ daily chart. Price had an extended rally above this high with pretty much only up candles. This is hard to count as a down candle. That's an indecisive candle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up candles pretty much in a row in here. And seems like price is starting to struggle a little bit. Coming again overnight into this suspension block, reacting off of it initially. But let's see the lower time frames. It's Tuesday's trading. Monday already posted this high here. And how this looks like to me, how this looks like to me is that we had those rat vehicle highs in here that were very, very smooth, and price rallied and ran through them in here. So basically that was an area of smoothness and it was made jagged, and then price moved or rallied away quickly lower, but it didn't took out this low and this low here. So there is really like plenty of sell side liquidity resting here. I like this low actually too. That's the London session low, that's the AM session low, and that's the PM session low from Friday's trading. So there is that's an enormous pool of sell side liquidity, I would say, that is resting at 30,266.5. And so far we came down into the suspension block again, and price started rallying up back inside of this range high and this range low. So I will actually annotate this range with the measurement of equilibrium to premium. Having the new day opening up in here inside of the premium portion of this price range, and besides that, breaker. Alright, so the bearish breaker is set beautifully between the 62 to 70.5 there as a premium. So these are the premium levels that I'm kind of like looking right now for, and they can act technically both ways, meaning I'm suspecting they can act as a potential draw on liquidity initially. So I would like to see price draw up into them, and then as we do draw up into them, it will be crucial for price to see whether we will turn around and attack the sell side here, or will we just keep on going, which is obviously not impossible, and it might be in the cards though. But yeah, looking at the naked price action like this, I mean, these lows definitely look very, very, very smooth. The buy set here was smooth, it was taken out, made jagged, and then quickly run away. With that here, I would say this high is more like a high resistance type of idea and less likely to be a draw at this moment. And I would favor these lows here, sell liquidity, to be the go-to, and that also would be framing my bias as bearish today. And yeah, I mean, I think that's how I'm gonna approach this. Obviously below the sell set here, there is an inefficiency here that I kind of like, but there is also this breaker there. So that's kind of like as far as my eye would go on the downside, would be this breaker. Good morning, don't you, Christian? Hello, welcome. All right. And this breaker was not necessarily capitalized on, besides this immediate trade here. Therefore, it kind of makes sense for the price to potentially be reaching there, I suppose. I know, but based on the 15-minute, that's kind of like, that's the idea that makes the most sense for me currently. 5 minutes, same idea. That was smooth, made target, repelled, engineered, lots of sell side liquidity here. Way too smooth. And now trading back into premium of the range. 1 minute doesn't really have a clear and obvious picture in here. It doesn't tell all of the story that's there. So it's a little bit tricky in here. But same, the breaker is there. There are some little relative equal highs up here that I can maybe annotate. They are inside the breaker. So these are kind of like the premium arrays that I would like to see price potentially turn around and seek sell side. And that's kind of like the idea. So as far as it goes for the ES, very similar price action. Same, Basil was taking quick rejection, left sell side liquidity here, and also it racing back to some measure of premium on its own. So very similar. So yeah, I mean, I admittedly understand or want to underline that we are at the all-time highs, and I don't want to pick a top necessarily, but right now it feels like it makes way more sense to look for the sell side, whether versus to look for the buy side as a high probability objective. Even if it doesn't deliver today, I believe that's what makes most sense to me. All right, so 3 a.m. is about to start basically, and going straight into the business here. Some nice strategic lows here on Nasdaq on 1 minute, but these are very near term in nature, but I like how smooth and relatively equal they are. All right, so 3 a.m. and we are already approaching the new day opening up from Tuesday, or very close to it. Hello, Money Glitch, welcome. All right, so far the idea is to see price tap or reach into this premium here and look for potential turnaround. Yeah, I mean, I wonder what we'll get. I wonder what we'll get actually. But yeah, I guess the initial idea is set in place. It's pretty clear. Now depends what the price will actually do. Yeah, I mean, those relative lows yesterday, yeah, such a trap though. But I get it. All right, so right away we are trading into the new day opening up. We're taking a short-term high, a potentially larger up candle that could offer an inefficiency in here. That inefficiency might be interesting to see. All right, consecutive encroachment of the new day opening gap being approached here, and we did formed a little inefficiency right here. I like this one a lot, so we'll see how it will deliver. Preferably, I want to still see potential reach up into this red area, red box, which is the bearish breaker, and that would be satisfying me as the lower threshold premium, so to say. So not necessarily buying or looking for longs at this moment. Moreover, looking for price to reach and tap, book the premium actually, and then potentially look for any reversals or something like that. So yeah, today's Tuesday. Monday was yesterday, and what it did, it took a smooth pool of buy liquidity. It made it jagged and ran away. So we'll see whether that will actually offer this idea that I'm looking for. Good morning, Sonia. Welcome. I'm not in any trade right now. Currently just watching and waiting for price to offer me something that I would like. So I had basically two opportunities, two choices to be made with this outline here. I could either be using that breaker, that end dog, that premium as a draw on liquidity and look for trade up into it, and look to trade up into it, but at 3 a.m. price was already too close in proximity to the end dog to try to trade it, right? Therefore, that wasn't necessarily an unviable opportunity anymore at the 3 a.m. or after 3 a.m. It was potentially valid before that here with the 235 for value gap, aiming for that end dog and the breaker potentially. That was a viable opportunity. At the 3 a.m. it was not necessarily viable anymore. In that case, if that's not necessarily viable anymore, and we already reached and are reaching the premium arrays, I have the second opportunity to watch whether price will offer any reversal type of ideas, turning point type of ideas in this general vicinity here. We do have a 10 a.m. medium impact news later today, so that might be interesting for the morning session nonetheless, but We'll see. So far we booked the high of the new day opening up in here. Alright, still watching whether we can reach up into this premium here. And that would be the preferred option, to be honest. If we could book that premium at least here. Possibly even diving a little bit higher into it would be all fine. And after the premium would be booked, then any return to the new day opening up, I would expect it to don't offer any support and trade right on through it. Then use it as premium resistance and attack lower. So this is the consecutive encroachment of the NDOC, and that's where price is hanging around so far. Because it's spending so much time inside the upper half, it's having actually a harder time to dive into the lower half. I would really like to see it tap into the premium, deeper premium here off of that steel. Nice. I mean, price traded below the consecutive encroachment here with a wick, but close all the way up above it. Same, all of these bodies all staying above the consecutive encroachment. I'm reading into this as it wants to trade higher into a higher premium steel, and that's what I would like to see now. All right, price slowed down quite a bit in here, just consolidating, marking price inside of this new day opening up. So that requires more information. That requires some measure of displacement out of this small little range in here. Yes, I do, Sonia. I do trade macro times. They are usually the sweet spot to be capturing trades. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what the price will present. I look at the 3 a.m. New York time to 4 a.m. New York time, this long open silver bullet, as a larger type of macro, you could say. I mean, this is not a macro per se, but I look at this whole hour as a valid idea and or moment for entering. The macros itself, so the macro at 250 to 310 and 350 to 410 can be like the sweet spot inside the hour, but same as the 330, that also can be the sweet spot. And because this hour itself is meant most of the time to push price and move around a bit for the particular sessions that could also scale into a larger move for the day. It offers, I mean, it's generally a good time for looking for a trade if it's there, if price aligns. So I like how we moved outside of this new day opening up here, and I want to see price book into the premium here, preferably. That's what I'm looking for right now. Let's see if we can bulk up a little bit into this premium. And then, because we will be actually reaching a solid premium erase, this red box is a 50-minute bearish breaker. If we are indeed bearish, if we will see lower prices off of this session, then it likely might be turning around during or around this area here. Will that be the case? I don't know yet. I can't tell, but that's something that I'm suspecting that might be in the cards. If it's not there, it's not there. If it's there, then that's something that I would potentially like to engage on. But so far, still waiting for that premium to book. So we went outside of this new day opening up to the upside and now trading back down into it. As long as the consecutive encroachment is not breached, that could lead to a nice push into the premium in here. So the low of this premium is basically in close proximity to the price right now. It should be, or it could be rather easy to reach up into it at this moment. And yeah, I mean, then the question will be, what will it reverse there or not? At this moment in here, price seems to be too close in proximity to it to be comfortable with capitalizing anything on a trade up into it. But yeah, that's what it is. Definitely showing some struggle currently to just reach the premium like that. So that might suggest underlying weakness. Soon we'll be going into the 330 time window, and that's when usually some more volatility or some measure of move establishes. All right, so early signs of rejection here after we failed to reach to the actual premium that I was looking for. Well, let's see. Potential breaker, bearish breaker. But still a little bit hard to trust because it's ahead of that premium array that I was looking for. All right, small little bearish fair value gap established with this somewhat like a bearish breaker looking. After it failed to reach up into that premium here. So to me, that would be like meeting the minimal criteria for premium to potentially be turning. But yeah, let's see. So far we traded up into this little fair value gap and rejected that nicely. We have this busy, and this busy on the downside, and they are relatively close to the price. So I can measure how strong, how versus how weak it actually seems to be at the time. So far we are stopping with the bodies at the low of the end dock and trading to this lower fair value gap here. After taking some measure of sell side liquidity earlier and premium yet to be booked. So why this breaker is so important in my opinion, it's because if smart money was buying previously here, and why they were buying, because that's a down close candle before a rally up, so they were buying in here previously, then price went below it, and now we are coming back into it potentially. So that would be like the perfect opportunity for them to unbind any long positions if they had ones, and go potentially short, or at least unbind the longs. So either way, that's where the opportunity for them would reside. And after that, if they really are not interested in longs anymore, then I would expect a somewhat of a turning point to facilitate. But all of that still remains to be seen, and yeah, I mean, it feels still a little bit early to tell. So second attempt trading or trying to trade into this bearish fair value gap here. All right, so still finding some measure of support at the low of the new day opening gap. That's what the bodies are respecting, and this little inefficiency here. So kind of stuck in between this premium array and this discount array, and just dealing in between. All right, still respecting the low of the end lock and this fair value gap, and starting to spend a little bit longer inside of this inefficiency here. So that's a little bit suspect. well, all of these candles are pretty much overlapping in here. No real inefficiencies, but I mean, being followed up after this very small little one here. So yeah, I mean, it still kind of looks like wait. Still kind of looks like it's not in a rush to move, and I guess that's reasonable. So again, trading from the low of the NDOC and this fair value gap back into this small little bearish fair value gap here. But we have yet to book some deeper premium. So I would say it would be fairly reasonable to see price trade through this and make a higher high, take buy side, and book that bearish breaker. Additional basin here formed in between those right now. So let's see what it will do. So far, it traded up into this fair value gap. We wicked above it, but the body stayed below. And now we are leaving it to the downside. It's still inside this NDOC and still a part of a larger consolidation in here. I don't know. I don't want to sell the idea that it's incredibly obvious at this moment, because I still think that it's fairly possible for price to reach and make this one more higher high. If it won't and it will displace lower here, yeah, I mean, then we can deal with that, I suppose. But currently it still seems a little bit too iffy with this type of price action. Yeah, that's nothing decisive in here that really shows that it wants to move, I suppose. Still banging in between those two arrays, discount and premium. And I still think that it's reasonable to expect the price to make a higher high and dig deeper into the premium. Therefore, I wouldn't be too eager about selling here. But if it would sell off in here, then I guess I would just not participate. I'm noticing the fact that the bodies are not closing this lower fair value gap that's supposedly bullish. But the same could be argued with this higher bearish fair value gap. The bodies are not closing it either. And it's just moving sideways like this. So I don't know at this moment. It's not giving me too much to work with for the session either, I feel like. Very, very slow price action in here so far. The entire 45 minutes that has been passed, not much happened at all in terms of like meaningful range expansion or anything like that. Anytime price trades to a premium or discount array, it doesn't really offer any move away from it. Even after initial reaction, it just stays inside the range, which makes it just a wait on sidelines type of session, I suppose. All right, so we see some measure of displacement to the downside here, piercing through this bullish fair value gap. So now it should act as bearish inversion fair value gap and offer resistance in the lower half, preferably. Let's see if it will also form this inefficiency here. which there is a potential because it dropped with a large range candle, overtaking a short-term low or even lows. That would be a nice measure of displacement here if we could maintain that. Alright, so we have both the SIBI and this inversion for value gap here as premium arrays that should offer a measure of resistance at this moment. Alright, so I have something like this in my mind. Let's see if we can actually get further push into it. But yeah, I'm willing to also wait and watch what it does and how it does around here. Uh-huh. Alright, so we are also going into the macro. At the moment. But I still am a little bit concerned about it, mainly because how sloppy it was in here. So yeah, ES making me a little bit concerned about it here. Is it reasonable to deliver? I mean, the base is quite reasonable, but that's quite a small of a range still. I mean, not much in terms of the range. We tapped into it here already, and I was just looking and waiting for if it would offer additional displacement or move away from it. It didn't, and just kept banging around here, which to me is still a little bit suspect, taking into consideration the fact that we didn't reach the actual premium here. So now as we are trading into it, I don't know, I feel like it could go through it and don't respect it at all. So that's why I waited. Also, ES was not showing that heaviness either. So that's why I have chosen not to enter here. And already price traded deep into the CB and above this inversion fair value gap here. So that is something that I wouldn't like to see if I entered. That's for sure. So I suppose that's what I should do. Still, I'm thinking the deeper premium is reasonable. But now, as we went below this inversion fair value gap here, spent a little bit time below it, and then here above it, it should act as a reclaimed bullish fair value gap. That should present a measure of expansion potentially towards the deeper premium. There is also a fair value gap here that formed, and this BC, I mean the CB, that might become a measure of inversion as we already trading to the or at the highs of it. So this also overlaps with the end of low, and I would say that makes more sense to send it to the deeper premium from where it is here, whether to just sell off. It could sell off, but I don't know. I don't think that this price delivery here favors a sustained sell off from where we are right now. So this probably was like, or is like more of a potential here. Closed above the CB, so now it should act as inversion fair value gap. We have this reclaimed bullish fair value gap. We have the end of low and a lower fair value gap here. So we have plethora of PD arrays that should support the idea of this potentially reaching deeper premium in my mind. And ES is also making a higher high here already. So it could be matching that too. So more so there would be something like this as an idea, I suppose. Okay, this seems reasonable to me though. Here, like this. Uh, all right, so this makes more sense to me at this moment. We have still like 1 minute left, I suppose. So all of this potential discount erasing here, coupled with the low of an end dog, and the idea to match the higher high with ES and actually reach the premium that was being marked earlier. So basically fading that all of these like very slow, tiny little sell-offs that were baiting shorts now should be attacked, dragged into actual premium, and then I was anticipating potential reversal. So let's see, that makes sense for me. I mean, I met the criteria with the time, so we'll see how it goes. Yes, I am. All right, so 75% of the trade would be basically at the low of the breaker. So if we can reach to the low of the breaker, I can go to break even, and we'll see whether we'll get the full target then. I really like this displacement off of this inversion, reclaimed bullish value gap there. Lots of things going on down there. Also, we close above this bearish value gap here right away, so it should act as inversion 2 lend support. That's very good, and we should have no issues to reach up into the premium now. All right, low of the breaker tagged, so I can move to break even. As 75% of the trade was already captured in here, and now I have free look whether I will actually get the TP or not. Usually if it comes back against me to the entry point, I mean from that far, that's bad. So I'll be content with getting stopped on even, but still this is in realm of reasonable. There we go. Execution marks. Well, very nice delivery off of that nested discount arrays stacked in here. Many discount arrays, like 1, 2, 3, 4 at least, reaching up into the premium here. And yeah, I mean, now we'll see what price will do, but this was enough for me to capture. Let's update the score. Six wins, 8 losses so far. Right, with this one, I was able to recoup the drawdown a little bit more. And next trade will be taken with the max risk permitted. Yes, so that's the actual balance. I will be updating the lower layout for tomorrow, but this is how it looks like. So well, that's awesome. So thanks for watching. Thanks for staying with my delivering here and my struggle. But nonetheless, kudos to you. I wish you a pleasant reminder of the day.